One of the games that I don't see enough people talking about that has a special place in my heart is State of Decay. Now, while there are two games in the series, the original coming out on the Xbox 360 Live Arcade, I think, both games share generally the same mechanics and design, so I'm not really sure. I'm really just talking about the series as a whole. So, likely coming out within the next year, State of Decay 3 is poised to make a big splash in the survival genre, but I don't really think that's the target audience. Now, I do subscribe to the idea that a game doesn't have to have one target audience. It should have many if it's a good marketing strategy and if the game and the product is able to support it. But if I was to ask you right now what you think the genre is for State of Decay, you'd probably say survival. It's literally the first tag on the Steam page for State of Decay. So, needless to say, that's, I think, what people see in the game. But I think I take a different look at it, and I see the game as more of a community management colony sim. Not so dissimilar to something like RimWorld or Dwarf Fortress. I want to be careful there because Dwarf Fortress and RimWorld are very, very complex games that I think the reason that they are so complex is because of kind of their lack of fidelity, which I'll get into in a minute. But I think that the claim still stands that I think that's at the root of what State of Decay is. And I think people that have played the game a lot would agree. I don't really have a great direction I want to go in this video besides just kind of pointing out the huge potential that State of Decay 3 could have that I don't think a lot of people are noticing. If you've played the game more, particularly State of Decay 2, if you've played it more than like a superficial amount of time, I think you know what I'm talking about. It kind of gets its hooks in you. There's some kind of itch that State of Decay scratches that no other game does, and both satisfies like my desire for a survival game, a zombie game, and a strategy game all at once. There was a period of time where I would come back to State of Decay 2 like every month for a few days, which is like kind of a lot, to take another crack at lethal mode, trying to get my first clear of all the plague hearts. I loved every moment of that. Even like it took me like 20-30 tries to do it, but I loved getting torn to shred from ferals or getting destroyed by a fucking tub master in the hot box. But I think it's really something special, so I want to talk about it some more. I think there's something that kind of separates the game from its actual core of colony sim, but actually evolves it and makes it probably a bit more digestible and more long-lasting, at least for me. So I think that probably just goes to its combat. Now, like, I think when you look at the combat from an outside view, it probably looks pretty bad. It is very janky and buggy, but I think it's actually like the most important thing about it, I think, is that it's skillful. I think when you're like the kind of niche and interesting techniques you have to learn in order to take out a horde yourself is something that I don't think this genre has ever had. Like, you've never had like a gameplay that's period. You don't really have gameplay that's that enthralling and that familiar with other games, like third-person combat games. That's kind of just planted in the middle of this, albeit kind of like shallow strategy and community systems. But I think if you've played the combat and you've gotten better at it over time, you realize what I'm talking about, that it actually is quite nice. Fucking ferals still kill me like crazy. They're fucking chimpanzees, but that's just another point of how this game kind of surprises you and has mechanics that are kind of like not under the hood, but just like that are a lot more important to the overall whole than I think they probably seem at the beginning. Now I do think like colony sim is the direction the series should head in and like emphasize, because the other things are just kind of like icing on the cake that will assist in kind of getting it to larger audiences. But I think like it has huge potential as a colony sim, particularly getting more in depth on the like survivors, the various survivors you would have in your settlement. The trait system in this game is already very good, but expanding that a little bit more so you have a bit more variety in the kind of people that are in your settlement, and then probably just like their actual ability to do stuff. They kind of just hang out at your settlement. I think in the first game they could like go get resources for you, like actually have a system where you see the person go out and get it. Like various times in State of Decay 2, like they'll just let you know, hey, I found something, but they didn't actually go get it. So I think they probably had some technical issue designing that in the second one, but something like that and expanding on it more in this next game could really push it to the next level. I think something that this like colony sim genre hasn't had is like a super large budget. Usually these games are made by like smaller one-person teams or two-person teams in the sake of Dwarf Fortress, but that's why it excites me. I mean, there are games like Stranded Alien Dawn, which is like a 3D, much higher fidelity colony sim that is quite good. But again, it doesn't have really good gameplay, or like it doesn't have live combat like mechanics. It's more like tactical, which is great. I love those games too, but this is something that I think makes this game into like a very unique experience that I think will attract like a whole new type of player, and if they do it right, will kind of like transcend the genre, either survival, colony sim, whatever at that point. But now I may be gassing this series up a bit. I'm going to be honest. I just really like these games. They've just really interested me in a way that not a lot of other games like this have. But so I might be setting myself up for some disappointment, which I have learned over the many years I've been gaming, that it's just never a good idea to get too hype about a game because you're just poised to disappoint yourself. But I can't help it with this one. So I just wanted to share, kind of give people a different perspective on this series, because I don't think it gets a lot of love, and I don't even think it gets a lot of respect as like a series or upcoming game that people should be keeping on their radar. Yeah, that's I think all I want to talk about today, but I appreciate it. This is my first video, so I hope things weren't too rough around the edges. I'd love to hear anyone else's experience with the game. If you have like a good reason why you stopped playing the game, or a good reason why you're still playing the game, feel free to add it in the comments. I'd love to chat about it. Appreciate y'all. Peace out.